tonight on Dynamite, guys, because Tommy and Bully, like you said, it's all about the follow-up. So I'm wondering, showing that video last Wednesday, is that going to help the viewership moving forward? And is that going to help Jack Perry moving forward? Because they are using it storyline-wise. They're using it for FTR, and they're using it for the Bucks, and obviously a returning Jack Perry. It worked in Chicago for the New Japan show this past weekend. It played up to the Jack Perry heel persona to that Chicago crowd. So Tommy, it's all about the follow-up, right? I mean, this is going to be the first Dynamite after what we saw last week, so it's going to be interesting to see where AEW goes from here.
Yeah, I mean, it was to me a big build-up for really nothing. And that's really it. I did enjoy both Nick and Matt's portrayal of how they were like leading up to it. I thought they did really, really good for their characters. If you are talking business, that show did raise ratings, and Jack Perry sold a lot of T-shirts. So if we're talking business, then didn't it work? Then yes, the follow-up. I honestly, it was a big build-up with not a big payoff, and it's minuscule, and it's just had people talking about it not in the best light, but it is what it is. It's honestly, it's like a blip in the radar. It was a segment that got a lot of people talking, and then, like I said, no big payoff, except for, like, if we're talking business, it worked those two ways.
All right, so let me ask you, Tommy, and then I'll ask you, Bully. Isn't it good? I mean, you always hear, bad publicity is still publicity. Is it good to just get people talking about your company? They were having people were talking AEW during WrestleMania week. So is that a good thing, just to have people talking about your company, even if it has the negative tone like this did?
Like I said, it wasn't really much. It got people talking, yes.
I mean, yeah, I guess it got people talking, but if you get people talking, you at least want to hear some positive from somebody out there. I did not see any positive about this. Even the most positive of people, like a Tommy or a Nick Nemeth, or, more people. There are some people on social media who have a good job of spinning things and seeing it in a different perspective. No, here's the aspect of what the Bucks say that I think is legitimate. When the Bucks were supposed to go on and wrestle FTR, I do believe that this whole thing definitely threw everybody off. Now, the Bucks were supposed to go on right afterwards, correct?
I mean, right after that, well, the first match was Punk and Joe.
Right.
I'm not sure what the match was right after that. It might have been.
Whatever it was. If you're the EVPs and you do have responsibilities, and there's things that you have, you have a very intricate match planned with FTR, two of the best tag teams in AEW, 81,000 people. Both of those teams, basically, that's their WrestleMania. And you hear about this scuffle that caused a major commotion backstage. Yeah, I bet it did throw you off your game. Yeah, I bet you it did cause concern. A lot of people mocked the portion when the Young Bucks said we didn't even get a chance to pray. I've prayed with the Young Bucks. I've asked to join the Young Bucks. I've asked to join Nick and Matt during their pre-match prayer. And I know that means a lot to them. So, and if they didn't get a chance to pray, that might have thrown them off the game. What I'm trying to do is take a small aspect, a small portion, put it under a microscope of what the Bucks said, and that's what I would have built on. That moment there, how it threw them off. Blame everything on the incident. Blame everything on the scuffle. That's the only part that I agree with. I don't agree with any other aspect of the footage. It's hot shot booking to me. It's Tommy. It's not, wait, hot shot booking is not really the proper terminology. What would you call that? Throwing that, like, what's the wrestling terminology for that?
I don't. Excuse me. I don't know. It's kind of like during the Attitude Era when they would just kind of like just show something, like, I don't know, like when they had Jenna Jameson was going to be there with Val Venus, or they're going to do something. It isn't hot shot, but it's a shock TV kind of.
Yeah, I guess shock TV. I don't know what good is. This is mired in negativity. The Shivani thing, I understand Shivani giving his point of view, and I respect Tony Schiavone so much that I wouldn't want to come on here and make an assumption of what he did. Most people said he was disgusted by the whole situation, and you could see the look on his face. Tony went on, I believe, his own podcast or another podcast.
Yeah, what happened when? His podcast.
Okay, his podcast, and he goes, "No, I wasn't disgusted. This is not the same thing that happened in WCW. I was reacting to what I just saw in character, from the Young Bucks." And I'm like, now we have guys like Tony Schiavone having to defend it by saying he was in character. What's real? It's messy. It's just messy. No matter how you look at it now, there's been so much negativity thrown upon it. And then you look at the amount of people who watched it. They had to throw that up against the wall just to bring their audience back to their average number. And I'm just going by hard ratings, blah, blah, blah. So can you guys, after a week of thinking about it, have you been able to come up with a positive side to this?
You know what? I'm glad you. First of all, the few things that you just said, Bully, that I definitely want to talk about. Number one is the one you just said about now that you've digested it for a week, because Justin and I were on the day after. Bully, you were on Busted Open After Dark immediately after the show. So when you come on that soon, right after Dynamite, like you did on Busted Open After Dark, or Justin and I the next morning, nerves are raw. You're really kind of just talking about what you had just seen. And I think the best way to describe it is the word you just used, and that's messy. So obviously you're getting the raw reaction. But here we are a week later where you can digest it for a week, plus what happened in New Japan. I kind of like what you said, Bully, and the fact that, and that was the story with the Bucks, is that, hey, because we're EVPs, we're going up against a big match with FTR in front of 75,000 people. It's the biggest match of our career. It's the biggest show in AEW history. And because of CM Punk, we had to deal with all this bullshit, which caused us to lose the match with FTR. I kind of can see the story a little bit there. Now, did you need to have the footage in order to do that? Probably not. Is that a little bit of a stretch just in order to show the footage on your TV? Yes, I think it is.
I mean, it backfired. It backfired.
It did backfire. It did backfire.
People in the arena, I don't care if it was 10 people or 100 people, whatever. People were chanting for CM Punk. I think that they actually made CM Punk look like a sympathetic figure here, because Punk said what he said on Helwani's show, and then exactly what he said, people saw. So for face value, people are like, yeah, okay. Yep, Punk did exactly what he said he did. Anybody can say whatever they want. There was no reason to add the footage. There was no reason to say that the Bucks wanted the footage ad, or this guy wanted the footage ad. One person wanted this footage ad. This is my opinion. I've been doing this for a long time, and Tommy's been doing it for a year longer than me. I haven't found one mind that I respect and will listen to. I don't even have to like the person, but if I respect their wrestling mind, I will definitely listen to the person. I haven't heard one give me an iota of a good reason for that to air. And there's only one person left that I haven't talked to about this. And I'd love to get his opinion. And Tommy, you know exactly who it is, because I would love to have heard how Heyman would have spun this. I don't know what he would have done. But if anybody could have taken something and spun it in a way where the company looked like the sympathetic figure, or Jack Perry looked like the sympathetic figure, or Tony looked like the sympathetic, or the Bucks, anybody, it would have been Paul. So maybe one day I'll bring it up to him.
Yeah,
Sorry, we were a little busy last week.
No, and the other thing too is, like, and I mentioned the Will Ospreay promo. You could still do that promo, but do it in a way that, hey, you know what? It's not even about scheduling. It's not about any of that. It's not about the grind. It's about, this is where I want to be. AEW is where I want to be. This is where I can be me. I can have the greatest matches for you, the fans. Make it all about AEW. Don't make it about the WWE. Make it about you and AEW and the AEW fan base. Make it all about AEW. And the other thing too is that, guys, like, this card that's coming up, and this Dynasty's coming up this weekend on Sunday. On paper, this may be one of the best pay-per-views that AEW has ever delivered. If you look at match by match, what we're going to see on Sunday, this is one hell of a show. Let's focus and concentrate on what we're going to see on Sunday on one of your pay-per-views, because AEW doesn't have a monthly pay-per-view. So let's focus on this show, which is going to be one hell of a show. Let's not focus on something that happened 8 months ago. Let's not focus on the WWE and WrestleMania. Let's focus on what we have, because AEW does have some of the best wrestlers in the world. And some of these matches I'm very, very excited about. Tommy, I think you would agree. Forget about the bullshit. Don't worry about the bullshit. And the person that caused that bullshit for you has been gone for 8 months. So why not focus on what you got going on, because you have a major pay-per-view coming up on Sunday.